This is also, it says in the Gemara, Moitzei Shvi'ut Milchamot. After the year of Shvi'ut, it's a time of battle. This is also Milchamot. It's more than, the front is in every street. It's not the front in some specific place. This is a battle. From one angle we hear people stabbed. On the other hand, simultaneously, we hear unbelievable miracles. The problem is that we have to continue to be Zoichet to merit these miracles. That's literally what we say in davening. Bracha Almighty, Amisecha v'Nifleisecha Sheb'chol Yom Yimonu. Miracles which are every day with us. He said, B'chol Yom Yimonu B'chol Eis. Erev B'Beiker Etzarayim. Erev Beiker Etzarayim, meaning evening, morning, and afternoon, we have to thank you, Hashem, for all the miracles which we're surrounded by. If we want the miracles to continue, we have to have special gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because if we don't appreciate the miracles, if we don't have the actual merit to deserve these miracles, but in the merit that we recognize them and we appreciate them, this itself can be the source of the merit to continue these miracles. And we heard the story just this morning, I just heard now. They planned an attack. Maybe this is not the place to talk about it, but at the same time, maybe it is the place to talk about it because of our obligation to have thanks to Hashem to realize that as we hear terrible things, that simultaneously we're being guarded from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In Beit Shemesh, they planned an attack on a bus. I don't know if it's a public bus, a bus of children. They're waiting at the bus stop 8 o'clock in the morning when the buses are packed with children today, this morning, in Beit Shemesh. And two people somehow or other felt that these two people standing at the bus stop didn't fit the population, that they somehow they felt that they don't fit in. It looked strange to them. They called the police. When the two Arabs saw the police cars coming, so they got very, very nervous, and they pulled out long knives, which they had prepared, and they began running. And whoever they could find, they stabbed. They did stab an Avrei. I don't know what his condition is. But an enormous tragedy was eliminated. Enormous tragedy. And that people with some lev, that's a mess. It's a mess. They could have not. Whenever you have a suspicious, you say, let's not get crazy. Why should that not be suspicious? It's very hard to have the courage to call the police on every shash, especially on the other hand, I heard a story, maybe you all heard it, Gamkin, all this I heard this morning, that last night there was a man killed. They didn't kill these two. They caught them, but they shot in the feet. Here, they should have killed them. They didn't kill them because last night was a story. A soldier said that a man tried to grab his neshek. Either he imagined it from fright, or the man has a problem. Anyway, the police came and killed him. And when they found him in Tudat Zigut, that he's a Jew. This is also one of the Gzeirot, the decrees of Hashem, which is called, we said it in Hashanah Rabbah, save us from Bahala. When a person's in Bahala, you lose your mind. Here, last night they killed the man innocent, they didn't really have proof. Here they did have proof. The man they pulled out knives, and they didn't kill him. Bahala. This is also Gzeirot, Bahala, to be mixed up. But now let's get to the subject. Let's speak about not current events. But anyway, my first point is that we are being Hashem Tzilcha as we seek Zeiris and decrees, but Hashem is at the same time with us. Anoichi, like the Gra says, Anoichi haste astiras panai, I will hide my face. But in that heste panim, Anoichi, the same Anoichi of Anoichi Hashem Lekha, Anoichi is in the heste panim. The Anoichi, the eye, the guarding of Hashem, He's there at the same time, and if one wants to open one's eyes, one can see it. There's another story I heard, which is unbelievable as well. A very similar story to this morning. True, there was a Yid, a Kaddish, a Talmid Chacham, Chad Eswarim, Rabbi Shai Krishevsky, Zechat Tzadik L'Brocha, Zechat Tzadik L'Kodesh L'Brocha, who was killed. But they have films. People, when they saw the face, there was people that said that, did you hear the story? People that said that they recognized his face and began thinking. They went back to films. When a guy is dressed up in a uniform and he works for a telephone company, nobody is suspicious. In short, in Arachov Minchas Yitzchok, there's a Shir Daf Yomi from bells, and there's 50 people that attend this shiur approximately. And this guy who did the pigua on Tuesday last week, this Arab, he came in there, checked all the exits and everything, and went out. On Sunday, he was there checking. Nobody thought anything. They thought it's connected with his work. On Monday, he was there again. On Tuesday, there's films. He came to no, 1 second. So the story is, the Maggid Shir had a proposal. The one who says the Shiur, Daf Yomi, they proposed him a Shir in a different place. He never accepted because these people hear him every day. For some reason or other, entered him a juke to accept the Shir in another place. Maybe there's 100 people in the other place, more people. He accepted the Shir, and he told the people on Tuesday morning, exceptionally, there will not be a Shir. So on Tuesday morning, the Arab came to make a slaughter for 50 people exiting the Shir. He comes to the place, and there's nobody there. And he was, when he has it on film, and he was like hysterical. So he took his car and went to Malchi Yisrael. He was all warmed up, they had to do something. And then came this story that Rashi Kashevska, this attack on the bus stop at Malchi Yisrael, corner of Lekha, this year. But there was people whinging and everything, but was saved instead at the same time. It's a miracle. Was saved in Hashem garden, that the Maggid Shir said it was canceled this year. It's unbelievable. So while we're being exposed simultaneously to Midas Hadin, to an unbelievable Midas Hadin, we can see that all this is with enormous hashkocha, enormous divine providence from Hashem at the same time. That's the story of today. I said that Bet Shemesh and this story, there's certainly a parallel between the two stories, that Hashem is guarding us at the same time. And we say in Davening, Hashem says to Avram, "V'hei brocha," and HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, the Chazal translate what's "V'hei brocha," but there's a remez in the pasuk referring to what we say in Shemon Esrei, Lekha Avram, Lekha Yitzchak, Lekha Yaakov. But "V'hei brocha," when we end the first blessing of Shemon Esrei, B'cha Chosru. We end the bracha with Avram, Mogen Avram. What is the literal translation of Mogen Avram? The literal translation of Mogen Avram means Mogen is a shield. Mogen Avram, the shield of Avram. This is exactly what we need. Mogen Avram. So, what I'd like to speak about is 3 points connected with Mogen Avram. The first two I'll speak about Gematria. My main point is really the third point, but just because of the Sahara of Gematria. There's a tendency in a person, when a person is accused of a fault or an aveira, no, it's because to rationalize and say 1,000 different things. A person, it's very hard for him to admit his faults, and he rationalizes them. The two words, and that's the two words, Mogen Avram, Gematria, the word 341, figure it out, which makes a word in Hebrew, Hashem, which is the beginning of Vidu, Hashem. Hashem means I'm guilty. Mogen, it says in Beis Din Shalmata, if you deny, in this world's court, in the earthly court, if you deny your faults, you might succeed. If you admit, who knows what they'll do to you. But in the Beis Din Shalmaila, it goes the other way around. If you deny, then you bring an extra judgment against you. But if you say Chatasi, immediately that's vidui, confession. If you say Chatasi, it has a whole different thing. You recognize your fault, you're in a totally different situation. That's one Mogen. Mogen is that a person shouldn't be afraid to identify his faults. If you identify them, you can begin working on them. As long as a person is in denial, he's in a utopia, of fool's paradise. A person is always better by saying, I have such and such a fault. Clapping matav, clapping here, and clapping mailu, clapping Kodesh Baruch Hu, in both directions. Whether it's down here or whether it's towards Hashem, he's better off. So that's the first message of Mogen Avram. A Mogen, a shield to stop if there's a kitvur in Shemayim, when a person says, Chatasi, I'm not in order, I would like to change, that's a whole different world. He puts himself in a different relationship with Hashem. That's the first message. Second pshat, in Mogen Avram. The word Mogen itself, it's very interesting. We say we have a mitzvah to accept the kingdom, the yoke of the kingdom of heaven upon us. There are two parts, which basically, two sentences that we say, which represent that we enter ourselves under the dominion of the kingdom of Hashem. The first sentence, I'm asking you, I'm not going to tell you because you have to know it yourself. What's the sentence? I want you to tell me. With which sentence do we express that we are in the kingdom of Hashem? What's the famous sentence which is the identity of Olam Yisrael? Shema Yisrael. You got to think. I can't just speak. You have to think yourself. Otherwise, we're not together. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem Echad. What does this mean? It means many things. Like Torah always means 70 different things. But what is one of the basic meanings? Hashem Echad means there are no circumstances in the world which are not coming from Hashem. It might be it begins from us because everything is measure for measure. Hashem Echad means there's nothing outside of the jurisdiction of the Bari Olam. There's nothing that's not in his control. That's nothing that doesn't come from his degree and his degree of knowledge. Echad means without boundaries. There's no place we can say Hashem's jurisdiction is still here and not further, because then it would be Echad. That means there's some other jurisdiction as well. Echad means it's all encompassing. Then we have another sentence which we say quietly. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusay V'Olam V'Ed. Only on Yom Kippur we say it out loud. His kingdom should be multiplied. More people should recognize it. L'Olam V'Ed. It ends with the word V'Ed. V'Ed is also very similar to the concept of Echad. V'Ed means eternal. Again, without boundaries. There's nothing, the kingdom of Hashem is all encompassing, and the kingdom of Hashem, like it has no boundaries in area space, so to speak, it has no boundaries in time. V'Ed, his malchus is V'Ed, meaning whenever we put ourselves in the dominion of Hashem, we put ourselves in a realm of eternity. V'Ed. Now what is now Chaim Volozhin writes, the student of the Grove, writes that if a person concentrates on this idea that there is nothing that can happen in this world which isn't the expression of Hashem, and that everything that happens is expression of Hashem. It's all from Hashem. That's the concept. When he concentrates on this principle of Yichud meaning there's nothing out of his jurisdiction, he's protected from Hashem. This hashkafa, this emunah shlema, is itself a mogen. It's a protection for the person. So the word mogen, if you take the first malchus, the first expression of the kingdom of Hashem ends with the word echad, which sums it up. The end is always the summation, summing up everything. The first malchus is the concept of echad. The second sentence that we say is the concept of va'ed, eternity. If we add up, we take these two words together, we put them together, echad, va'ed, what is the gematria? The numerical value. Echad is how much, do you know?
93.
Echad. Shosh Yisrael, correct. And Va'ed is how much? Ayin is 70, and Vav and Dalet is 6 and 4. So it's another 10. How much is it? 80. 80 and 13 is 93. The word Mogain is a shield.
That's 40.
Mem and Nun. Mem is 40 and Nun is 50 is 90. Yunun 93. That's the Mogain. Mogain Avro. When we put ourselves in the Rishus, in the dominion of Hashem, and we recognize that we're totally in the hands of Hashem, this itself is a shield to protect the person. From, that we have, to go off the subject for a second, we have another Mogain, not just Mogain Avraham. What's the other Mogain? Somebody else very famous, and everybody knows the symbol.
David.
Mogain David. How many points does the Mogain David have?
6.
6 points. What is the concept of 6 points? Because the world has 4 sides, Arba Kanfesaras, and then there's up and down, so together it's 6. It has 6, but all those 6 are in the hands of Hashem. That's exactly this concept. The Mogen David is the concept of Yichud Hashem, the unity of Hashem. That all the 6 points, that Hashem is above, Hashem is on the bottom, Hashem is more like it's quoted, everything is in His control. That's exactly the same. This concept is the concept, this is a Mogen. And who was Mepharasan, who made famous to the world the unity of Hashem? Avraham Avinu. Mogen Avraham and Mogen David are connected together. But now I get to the third chapter in Mogen Avraham, which is the most important, really the most important. Maybe I should have begun with What was the special midah, the special characteristic trait of Avraham Avinu, the special mitzvah which Avraham Avinu did? Chesed. Very good. And how does the Torah specifically, which element of chesed does the Torah speak about? Hachnosat orchim. Now, I want to tell you a chiddush. Not everybody is in a situation to do hachnosat orchim and hachnosat orchim. Not always you can do it every time. Let's say once a week on Shabbos, you invite somebody for dinner. It's very nice. It's a wonderful thing. It's hachnosat orchim. But I want to talk about a different hachnosat orchim. There's a hachnosat orchim that you can do every single minute of the day. How can it be? Yeah. Let's see. Hachnosas orchim. What does hachnosas orchim mean? Hachnosas orchim means to open the door of your house to somebody else, right? You know where the main house of a person is? The main house of a person is in his heart. And usually a person is centered around himself to the point that he doesn't even know that the other person also has feelings. And the other person also sometimes is happy and sometimes sad. He doesn't even know what makes the other person happy and sad. He's so busy with his own happiness and sadness. To open the door of your heart to somebody else, that's hachnosas orchim. That's where hachnosas orchim begins. Hachnosas orchim begins to open the door of your heart to somebody else. To let somebody else into your house. Where's the first house or the main house? Put the other person into your house. Where's your house? Your heart. Let the other person enter your heart. Begin feeling what he feels. Be sensitive to his pain. Be sensitive to his happiness. That's hachnosas orchim. That chesed everybody can do in every situation. You don't need a cook. You don't need money. You don't need the opportunity. That opportunity, every single one. That's where hachnosas orchim begins. And let's go to last week. Let's go to last week's parasha. I spoke about this at the scene last week. I just want to broaden the idea. Gezel brings wherever there's gezel, there's chasimas gzaldin. After all, the Rashi brings down, so avonot, the person has a bundle of sins. Which sin brings the final decision of evil, chas v'shalom? Gezel. So avonot gezel mekatreg barosh, lo nechtam gzardinon el ala gezel. The sealing of the judgment on the generation of the flood was because of the sin of stealing. What is the opposite of stealing? Two words. First of all, the simple opposite is stalker. And we see stalker, tatzil, like gezel brings the gzardin, stalker, tatzil, ribonas. Stalker is a pidyon from din. It's redemption from din. Gezel brings the din, and stalker that you're ready. But stalker is many things. Stalker means a lot of things. Stalker again is to recognize any recognition of the other one's existence. That's also stalker. Stalker means to be sensitive, to give something to the other. So broadening the concept of gezel, the opposite of gezel is the midas hachesed, to give to others. But the main giving to others is in the emotional world. We have a mitzvah. Part of the chesed of Avraham Avinu is hachnosas orchim we just spoke about. There's bikur cholim, to visit the sick. There's nichum avelim, to go to somebody when he's mourning. There's to go to a simcha, others to go to a chasana. What is the main center of these mitzvahs? I want to speak about it for a second. You know, you come to somebody's simcha, you walk in for 30 seconds, you have no time, you say mazel tov, and the other person feels fantastic. Why does he feel? But you didn't say anything. You didn't do anything. You just said mazel tov, you came in, walked out for a second, and it makes a very difference. If anybody made a something, it makes a difference. Why does it make a difference to the person? You know why? You recognized that he exists. You showed that you care. You made the effort to come to his simcha. You made the effort to come when he's in mourning. You recognize that he's now at a time of happiness. You recognize that now he has pain. You brought into your heart his state. You recognize that he's now at a special time of happiness, or you recognize that he's at a special time of sadness. You recognized his state. You recognized him that he exists. That is hachnosas orchim. That is chesed. And all this is connected. That's Mogen Avraham. That is the shield of Avraham. This is the true pshat. Everything we said before is also good, but this is really the essence of Mogen Avraham. The essence of Mogen Avraham is to give a pleasure. Chesed, the essence of chesed. There's all different ways of doing it, but the essence of chesed is to recognize the other individual's existence and to give pleasure to the other person, to give him a sense of importance, to show that you care. It's not to speak to him. It's not to speak to him the language of the moach, the brain. It's speak to him the language of the heart. For some people, it's very difficult. Then it's not. They said, we're educated in the Western world. It's not masculine to be wishy-washy with emotions or to speak the heart. But the ika, maybe this part has to be feminine. You have to awaken the feminine part of you, because to show in your heart that you care about somebody. This is Mogen Avraham, and this is the Gra writes in his letter he writes, "Ubezeh roiv ha-Torah." The majority of the Torah, of the mitzvahs of the Torah, is the sameach la'adam, is to make another person happy. It means the opposite of it. Right? Let's go back again. What is gezel? Let's analyze what gezel is, and then we'll see what the opposite of gezel is. Gezel brought the gezel stealing brought about the sealing of the judgment. What is gezel? You cause pain to another person by taking some of his money. What is money? The money is the possessions of a person are the extension of the person. If gezel is bringing such a serious judgment, what about insulting a person? What about saying something that hurts the honor of the other person? What about ignoring another person? Just ignoring him. That's causing the other person could be tsar haguf. We have a concept of taking away a possession of a person, and we have a concept of tsar haguf, pain, emotional pain, the tsar haguf. I ask you, Rabbatai, what do you think is a more serious aveira? To hurt a person by taking a little bit of his possession, or causing him tsar haguf, pain, physical pain? What is more? Emotional pain is also. When I say physical, doesn't mean a pin in the body. Emotional pain is more than a pin than a prick. Tsar haguf is much more. So if gezel is chesed zardin, tsar haguf, emotional pain to another person, is much more than gezel. And I give you a mashal. A guy has a conflict with his neighbor. A mashal. They go to the Rav, and the Rav paskins that in dinei mominus, in money matters, in possession matters, he's right. He has the right to do this in his house. The other one has no time. Doesn't have a right. He has a right. No. Tzaddik. Choshen Mishpat, he's right. Now there's another shulchan aruch. He has a right to do it. But when he's doing this, he's causing enormous pain to his neighbor. Could be. Still the psak didn't take away the pain. He's still causing him pain. So now the person has to ask him another question. I'm giving it's only a mashal for situations in life. Supposing his son was living in the other apartment, would he also do it? Would he say, I have the right because of Choshen Mishpat? Or then he would take into consideration the emotions of his son and would disturb him. There's another Shulchan Aruch. After the Shulchan Aruch of the Maimonides, there's another Shulchan Aruch called V'ahavta Re'echa Kamocha. And this is the center of the whole Torah. We know that the Ger Tzedek, a Ger came to Hillel and said, Lamdeini Torah al regel echad. Teach me the whole Torah on one foot. And how did Hillel Hazakin sum up the whole Torah? He said, neither Lekh Sani, what you wouldn't like to be done to you, don't do to somebody else. And this is the whole Torah, said Hillel. The whole Torah is this. Become sensitive to the feelings of another human being. This is the pshat in Mogen Avraham. This is the meaning of Mogen Avraham that we say every day in davening, that the first bracha, the seal of the whole bracha. That means because it's the seal of the whole Torah. Mogen Avraham, the shield of Avraham, is the meat of Avraham of Chesed. And it's very interesting. We have an inherent contradiction in Avraham. Because from one angle, we see, and this is very fascinating, you think, no, so Avraham Avinu, he's a very sociable guy, right? He's friends with everybody. But Avraham is called Avraham HaIvri. What does it mean, Avraham HaIvri? Kol ha'olam kuloi be'eva echad, ba'avrom be'eva hasheni. The whole world is on one side and Avram's on the other side. He's not sociable at all from one way. In his views, he's not influenced in any way. He's as strong as iron. Avram Avinu is removed from the whole world. The whole world thinks one way, and Avram Avinu thinks a totally different way. He sees Hashem and everything. The whole world is Avodah Zarah. He's alone in his views. The whole world is against him in his views. To the point his own father puts him into a furnace, brings him to Nivra and puts him into a furnace. That's one side of Avram Avinu. In his views, in his hashkaf, in his emunah, he's alone in his views. But the same Avram Avinu is giving to the whole world. And the pinnacle of this is, there's this city Stone. Stone, they developed an ideology. What's the ideology? Every man has to benefit from himself. If he can do it, good. Don't give to somebody else. You gotta earn it. This was Stone. Stone, they had this no orchim, no guest allowed. You no giving allowed. You don't even give salt to him. Let the guy earn it. Capitalism. What you earn is yours. Shali, shali. What's mine is mine. Shakha, shakha. I don't take from you, but I don't give you. No giving. Giving is not allowed. Hashem hates this so much that he decides to destroy Stone. Avram Avinu hears about it. What would be the natural thing that a person has as a principle? Oh, finally, Hashem understands my way of thinking, and they're against my way of thinking. Good that Stone should be destroyed. It's against they're destroying the world. It's against my whole preaching. And my enemy Stone, who thinks at 180 degrees the opposite of me, is going to be destroyed. Wonderful. I'll be able to teach my principles better. That's the natural way of thinking of a person. But Avram is such a chesed. Even Stone, that is 180 degrees the opposite of his thinking, Avram begins praying to Hashem. Maybe there's 10 tzaddikim. Maybe there's 50 tzaddikim, 40, 30. Don't destroy Stone. It's the opposite of what we think people think. If somebody once said, there's a pasuk in Mishlei, it says, Yesh derech yoshlet ne'ish. There's a right way with ne'ish. People invent ideologies, They're all the isms. There's communism, and capitalism, and whatever, there's Zionism, whatever you want. But all these isms, it begins with derech yoshlet ne'ish. People invented it. Ba'achrisa, what's the end of all these shittas when it's not from Hashem? You got to kill this one, you got to kill that one, because they're against the sheep that they're destroying the world. Whoever defies the principle, the ideology, you got to kill them. They all end when it's the sheep, when it's a principle for man. They all end in murder. You got to kill them because they're ruling the world. Avram Avinu was kulei chesed. In short, this is the point. Rav Yitzchak Volozhiner. There's a sefer called Nefesh HaChaim. Yitzchak Volozhiner's introduction to Nefesh HaChaim, he brings in the name of his father a Chaim Volozhin. He's the greatest person in the generation, after the generation of the Kroh, student of the Kroh. And he says he used to say all the time that a person was not created in this world to serve himself. The goal of every human being is to give to others and to benefit others as much as he can. No person that's in Zek Chol Ha'adam, this is the whole mitzias of a person. A person was put in this world to benefit others as much as he can. That's the goal of that's the whole Torah is about, is to benefit others. And I want to tell you that the mitzias is when if a person is depressed, or he feels, or he has, let's say, a low self-esteem, let's say he doesn't have a good concept of himself. The fact is that person, whenever a person manages to help somebody else, he's transformed. He feels a different human being. Hashem put it into the Bria. And then why does he feel a different person? Because somewhere his neshama knows the schus of the mitzvah. His neshama is sameach. His neshama is happy because his neshama feels the benefit of that mitzvah. The light, the spiritual light that comes into it. When we help somebody else, and every human being is in a situation that others are less, that he can help others. And this is the tachlis of the whole Torah. This brings a person, and this is Mogen Avrom. This is a protection. We live at such times that we need protection. I go back to what I began with miracles. We have to continue to be zeicha these miracles. To be zeicha these miracles. So we spoke. Let's sum up what we spoke here. We spoke here 3 concepts in 4 points. We spoke. We began with point number 1, that one way to continue the merit of these is that we have to recognize these miracles and appreciate them. Gratitude to Hashem. Point number 2, we spoke about that a person has to be in a constant state of recognizing his faults and wanting to change. Mogen Avram, the Gematria, Hashem. Point number 3, the emunah, that everything is Meis Hashem. It's the same idea. Mogen Avram is to put himself in the dominion under the shlita of Hashem, to recognize Hashem is all-encompassing. Echad, without boundaries. Voed, without boundaries. Point number 4, which I think is the most important really, that the whole Torah is Mogen Avram. The Midas HaChesed, Hachnosas Orchim, and the Hachnosas Orchim is the Pshat. The beginning of Hachnosas Orchim is to open the doors of your heart to recognize, to put the other person into your heart, to recognize the other person's existence. And this, to sum it up with the Tzilah Rabbi Melech, that this is as well the Geras of the Rambam, to find the point in each person to give him respect. Because the essence of a person, if you want, let's put it this way. What does every person want? What does every person need? Every person needs and every person wants a minimum of respect. If you gave respect to another person, you gave him life. And how do you give respect to another person? By finding what his naila is. And that's what the Rebbe Rabbi Melech, the student of the Hashem, said. Adarabah. To the contrary, we have to work on seeing Adarabah Shinira b'Mailas Chavarei. We have to work on seeing the Mailas. Mailas means the positive qualities. To find in each person the positive quality, because of that positive quality, to respect and to give him respect. When you give respect, this is the Yesod of Kol HaTorah Kula. That's the Mogen Avram, that's Chesed. You give him a place in your heart. How do you give him a place in the heart? By giving him Hashivas in your heart, by giving him importance in your heart, that he's important. Every person needs to be considered important. To find the nakuda, the point that makes him important. And the more people you can make important in your heart, the greater your achnosas orchim. Avram Avinu was machnis orchim to his heart, the whole kol ha'olam kula. From one point he was on the other side of the world, on the other point he gave chashivas to even to stone he managed to find importance in his heart to pray for them. This is the lesson that we learn from Avram Avinu, and this is what we have to work on. This is what we learn from this parasha.
Shkoyach.